Alright, what's up, guys? This is Coop with C&T Designs again. We're going over some more bills today. This one we're going to go over is another so-called anti-trafficking bill. So, we got my man, the burnout flaming AR right here to represent a trafficking bill. These bills are just ridiculous. Let me do the normal screen share. And you guys, we'll get into this. I'm going to share some audio with you too, because I got my man Eric playing in the background. Alright, so let's slide up here real quick. So this was introduced on 3/22 of 21. It says to increase public safety by punishing and deterring firearms trafficking. Guys, excuse me, my sinuses have been jacked up and they're draining. Okay, so short title here is Stop Illegal Trafficking in Firearms Act of 2021, Anti-Straw Purchasing and Firearms Trafficking Amendments. So 18 USC for Chapter 44 goes from 921 to 931. Yeah, to 931. And I threw that in there as an example. These are the different subchapters of the major body of firearms law. So what they do is this stops at 931. They are going to actually add in 932 and 933. And of course, those will get, if they ever pass, those will continue to get expanded like the rest of this hodgepodge mess that they call firearms law. Why am I just... Let me switch something real quick, because I think it's only doing that one song. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, I'm getting ready to move stuff. Can you pull all that stuff out so I can get it shifted?
Yeah, give me just a minute.
Alright. Has Mia been out?
Yeah. Alright, let's see. Let's get back to this. Alright, so the straw purchasing of firearms, they add in this whole section 932. Oh, man. So, for 932, let me see, it's definitions in 931. So, it's unlawful acts in 932. Or no, that's whole, I'm getting it backwards. 932 is what they're adding in. It's so hard to keep up with the stuff sometimes, guys. Alright, for definitions, for purposes of this section, crime of violence has the same meaning given in 924C3, which is something in prior videos we've been over before. Includes a felony offense under laws of a state that meet the criteria described in subparagraph A and B of such section. 924 was your penalties. The term drug trafficking, of course, has the meaning of 924. Includes a felony punishable under law of a state for which conduct constituting the offense would constitute a felony punishable by or punishable under the Controlled Substances Act. Controlled Substances Act imposes or Import and Export Act. Basically, I mean, if you get caught with drugs. In really any amount, but especially larger amounts, like you had, large amount of weed on you or something like that, then yeah, they can get you under this. This is the one that's going to tie into some other bills, though. Federal crime of terrorism. That's one thing I want to tie in from this bill to the next two bills that I cover, because they are all tied in together. It's like a couple puzzle pieces dropping into place. They go over the term purchase by way of pledge, pawn, payment, violation. It would be unlawful for any person other than a licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, licensed collector, or licensed dealer to knowingly purchase or attempt to conspire to purchase any firearm in or otherwise affecting interstate or foreign commerce. You guys, if you've watched my videos before, you already know that's how they do gun laws. From a licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, licensed collector, or licensed dealer for or on behalf or at the request or demand of any other person, known or unknown. So it's against the law to purchase a firearm for somebody else, basically. If I bought a firearm at a gun shop and someone else saw me buy that firearm and was like, hey, that's the last one they had, let me buy that from you, and offered me a good price and I sold it to them, that's a straw purchase. That's how ridiculous these laws are. From any person who is not a licensed importer, licensed manufacturer, licensed collector, licensed dealer, for or on behalf or at the request or demand of any other person, known or unknown, knowing or having reasonable cause to believe that such person is under indictment, has been convicted in any court of a crime punishable by imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year. Now, that's punishable. That person could have only been or only sent to prison for a day. They could have gotten probation for it, but if it was punishable by over 1 year, they're a prohibited possessor. A fugitive for justice is an unlawful user or addicted to any controlled substance. So if you buy a gun and your buddy who smokes a little weed sometimes, likes that gun and wants to get that gun from you, you're a straw purchaser. And it makes no sense to us because we think, well, no, that's not how that would work. Trust me, this is how they would prosecute it. It has been adjudicated mentally defective, is an alien, illegally or unlawfully in the United States. These would be all the people it would be an extra crime to sell a gun to. But sometimes, if you went out and you bought a gun, you ended up wanting to sell that gun, do you run background checks on everybody you sell a gun to? So how are you going to know legal status and all that? A lot of states will issue illegal people IDs and driver's licenses, so you couldn't just check that. Dishonorable discharge from the military. Having been a citizen of the United States, renounce their citizenship. Subject to a court order. So this would be like a restraining order, which is exceptionally easy in a lot of cases for a person to get a restraining order against somebody else. That makes them a prohibited possessor. What they want to do is they want to make that permanent to where no matter what, if someone had a restraining order put against them, that's a red flag, they come take your guns, and that is permanent. You would have to hire lawyers and fight that to get your rights back. And it's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. Was issued at a hearing in which the person was notified. That doesn't change anything. Includes a finding that the person represents a credible threat to the physical safety of such intimate partner or child. Who decides you're a critical or a credible threat? That's going to be the prosecutor's judge relying on the testimony of another person and basically ignoring anything you have to say. By its terms, prohibits the use of, attempted use, threatened use of physical force against an intimate partner or child. It's already prohibited to use physical force against them. They call that abuse. They call that domestic violence. Does not reside in any state and is not a citizen or lawful permanent resident of the United States. That's already up there in the other one. That's already up there covering illegal aliens. Intends to sell or otherwise dispose of the firearm to a person described in any of the subparagraphs A or J. It would be very easy to sell a firearm to someone and that person could be included in those categories. In some cases, that person wouldn't even know they're included in those categories. They could be under indictment and not know it. Now, use, carry, possess, sell, or otherwise dispose of a firearm in furtherance of a federal crime of terrorism, crime of violence, or drug trafficking, or export the firearm in violation of law. Now, that crime of terrorism, again, is going to come up in the next two bills that I'm going to cover. So this might come out, I don't know, not necessarily a series, but if you watch them in a series, they're definitely going to be connected. In general, except as provided, any person who violates subsection B shall be fined under this title and imprisoned not more than 15 years. So you sell a gun to the wrong person, or they trap you in a straw purchase case, that's 15 years. And you say, well, something like that couldn't happen. Well, I still got to go in and cover the case, but yeah, I can. And it can happen very, very easily. To where a person, just to go into a short thing on this case, this guy had a place where he could get a good deal on a gun. His uncle sent him the money. He went and bought the gun. He brought that gun up to his uncle in another state, had an FFL background check done on his uncle, then transferred the firearm. That sounds completely legal. But this guy is serving time in prison as a straw purchaser, because they say he lied on his 4473 because he was not purchasing that firearm for himself. It's retarded. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, let's get through this. Exception shall not apply to firearm that is lawfully purchased, given as a bona fide gift, bona fide winner of a raffle, bona fide gratuity to a hunting guide. Manage that. To be given as a bona fide or bonus gift to an employee, bona fide commemorative award or honorate. Yeah. Unless the purchaser knows or has reasonable cause to believe the recipient of the firearm is prohibited by federal law from possessing, receiving, selling, shipping, transporting, or otherwise disposing of the firearm. Now, again, this is another thing that they say you have to have reasonable cause to know. They're going to be the ones, the people prosecuting you are going to be the ones that are going to say what reasonable cause is. It's trap. It's trap. All right, the trafficking of firearms in general shall be unlawful for a person to ship, transport, transfer, cause to be transported, or otherwise dispose of any firearm to any person in or otherwise affecting interstate or foreign commerce if such person knows or has reasonable cause to believe that the use, carry, and possession of a firearm by the recipient would be in violation of any federal, state, or state law punishable by a term of imprisonment up to 1 year. So you sell a gun to a guy, he likes smoking weed. It would be very easy to have enough weed on him to be punishable by a term up to 1 year. And you're going to go down for that if they track that firearms purchase back to you. Even if this person's not doing anything violent, they haven't committed any crimes, they just get pulled over with the weed. It's be unlawful for any to receive from any person a firearm in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce. God, I hate that clause. If the recipient knows or has reasonable cause to believe that such receipt would be in violation of federal or state law punishable by a term of imprisonment up to 1 year, or attempt to conspire to commit the conduct described in paragraph 1 or 2. And conspiring is just talking about it. You talk to a buddy, hey, I know this person who has this firearm for sale, I'm going to go get it from them. All right, that's conspiracy. Your buddy comes to you and says, hey, I'd like to sell this gun to a guy. Do you have his number? Yeah, here's his number. We just conspired to sell. Oh, man. And I'm sure, matter of fact, I'm really sure that they will go after sites like Gunbroker and some others for conspiracy to sell if anything like this ever passed. Any person convicted of a violation of 932, 933, and this is civil asset forfeiture. This is, oh, if you don't understand civil asset forfeiture or how things can be done, I did a video on it not too long back. It's another long video, but go watch it because I do really get into civil asset forfeiture there. Any property consisting or constituting or derived from any proceeds the person obtained directly or indirectly as a result of such violation, and any of the person's property intended to be used in any matter or part to commit or facilitate the commission of such violation, except that for any forfeiture of any firearm or ammunition pursuant to this section, 924D, shall imposition the court in imposing sentence on a person convicted of violation of 932, 933, shall order, in addition to any other sentence imposed pursuant to 932, 933, the person forfeit to the United States all property described in paragraph 1. So anything that you possibly own, they will take because you sold a gun to the wrong person or you sold a gun in a way that they don't like. If you drove your car to meet somebody to sell it, that's your car. If you made a little money off it, that's your bank account. If you sold it in your home, guess what? That's your home. Civil asset forfeiture. And really, under civil asset forfeiture, you don't have to be convicted of anything. You just have to be under suspicion of doing these things. And they will take all of that. All right, let's see. Fines. Fine otherwise are authorized by part of this. The amount equal to twice the gross profits or other proceeds of the offense under this section. And they are going to decide what that amount is going to be. Title III authorization section code is amended by striking sections 922 and 924 and inserting 922, 924, 923, and 933. That was over here on the right. I'm going to try to skim through this real quick because I've got something else I've got to take care of. They get into money laundering in here. Directive to Sentencing Commission. So if they charge you with this, what they are going to do is they are going to recommend to the Sentencing Commission a harsher sentence that would normally be allowed by law. So the DOJ will be talking to the Sentencing Commission saying if it was something you could be put in jail for 1 year, they're going to tell him he needs to be in jail for 8. If it's something punishable by 10 years, they're going to tell them put you in prison for 15. Amendments into sections 922. I've got all that down here, but like I said, I'm going to skim through this real fast. They added in subparagraph 10, intends to sell or otherwise dispose of a firearm or ammunition, so this could just be ammunition, described in any of the paragraphs 1 through 9. So again, you could sell ammunition to the wrong person and you're fried. They intend to sell or otherwise dispose of a firearm or ammunition in furtherance of a federal crime of terrorism. Again, that's going to be in these other bills. Crime of violence or drug trafficking, as such defined in section 932. Export ammunition. This won't apply to licensed manufacturers, importers, none of that. So if you got your FFL, you're pretty much clear of a lot of this. United States Code, and this is where they added in 8. And I think they increased this penalty from like 10 years to a fine and 15 years in prison. In paragraph by inserting 932, 933, 924. That was the sections of the law that you had to break that covered a lot of things. Now this was 924H. H1, whoever knowingly receives or transfers a firearm or ammunition or attempts to conspire to do so. So you could just talk about it. Knowing or having a reasonable cause, again, they define reasonable cause, to believe that such firearm or ammunition will be used to commit a federal crime of terrorism, a crime of violence. Okay. Or a drug trafficking crime, as defined by yada yada yada, and International Emergency Economic Powers Act. I haven't looked into that one, but it's probably another scary ass piece of legislation. Shall be fined under this title and imprisoned for not more than 15 years, or both. And trust me, it's going to be both. This is the federal government we're talking about. No term of imprisonment imposed on a person under this subsection shall run concurrently with any term of imprisonment imposed on the person under Section 922. In other words, if you were sentenced on a couple of different crimes, there's a way sentences can run congruently or concurrently. Congruently, or congruently, I believe the sentences are back to back. Concurrently means both of those sentences would be put together. So when you're doing time for one, you would be getting credit on time for the other one. Nope, they're going to stack them back to back now. Amendments to Section 924. A person who smuggles or knowingly brings into the United States a firearm or ammunition or attempts or conspires to do so with intent to engage in or to promote conduct that is punishable under the Controlled Substances Act, constitutes a federal crime of terrorism, shall be fined and imprisoned 15 years. Person who smuggles knowingly takes out of the United States a firearm or ammunition, attempts to conspire to do so, punishable under the Controlled Substance Act, yada, yada, yada. That's another 15 year. All these things are already illegal. To smuggle guns out of the United States, to smuggle guns into the United States, and ammunition in or out, all these things are already illegal. Prohibition on firearms transfers to agents of drug cartels. Oh, gee, I wish this would have been in place during the Fast and Furious shit. It's already illegal to do this. It's already prohibited. In rules of construction, this is where they get into that if one part of this bill is held unconstitutional, the rest of parts of the bill stand. So you can't just knock the whole sections of law out with one constitutional challenge. All right, guys. Y'all be cool. Let me go take care of what I got to take care of, and I'm going to set up and probably film a couple more videos. We'll catch you after a while.